Hey guys, before we begin, I just want to let you know I might butcher some of the names in this video, so just don't get mad at me. Thanks. Nintendo is one of the biggest video game companies in the world. It created two of my favorite childhood games, Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart Wii. It's sad because I never got to play these games a lot, since I didn't own a Wii, but my cousin did, and I rarely got to play Mario Kart, and then I had to move, so now I have to drive 3 hours to play just one game, Mario Kart, and smash someone across the screen, Mr. Gaming Lost. Anyways, I thought it was a good time to make a video about the company's history. From cards, to toys, to video games, we have a lot to cover. So without further ado,
Let's go!
surprisingly, the company started not as a video game company, but as a playing card company, which was founded by, please don't get mad at me if I butcher this name, Fusajiro Yomachi on September 23rd, 1889. The company was based in Kyoto, Japan, and it was relatively successful mass-producing playing cards to satisfy customer demand. Everything changed in the year 1956 when Hiroshi Yamachi, Fusajiro's grandson, visited the U.S. to talk with the U.S. playing card company. He was shocked when he saw the company had a very small office, and realized that the playing card business had less potential than it used to. In 1963, Hiroshi decided to switch out of the playing card business and try some new ventures. He tried a hotel chain, a TV network, and a food company. They all failed, and Nintendo stock prices plummeted to 60 yuans, and that was basically the end of their card sales. 2 years later, Nintendo would move into the Japanese toy industry. Their first edition was the Ultra Hand, created by Gunpei Yokoi in his free time. Yokoi would go on to be famous in Nintendo's gaming ventures, and Nintendo soon created more toys, such as the Ultra Machine and Love Tester, which was essentially a matchmaking machine. But just like their previous ventures, Nintendo failed to make a huge success in the toy market. Come the 1970s, and Nintendo decided to venture into the video game industry. This would change the entire company forever. In 1974, Nintendo acquired the rights to the Magnavox video game console, and in 1977, they developed their own edition with the Color TV game home video game consoles. 4 versions of this console were produced, each containing a variation of a game. It was around this time that a student developer named Shigeru Miyamoto was hired by Nintendo. Miyamoto worked for Yokoi. Yeah, remember him? Anyways, Miyamoto designed the casing for several of the Color TV game consoles, and would later go on to design many of Nintendo's famous games. In 1975, Nintendo decided to move to the arcade video game industry with EVR Race. They had minimal success until 1981, when Nintendo released Donkey Kong, made by Miyamoto. Donkey Kong was a massive success for Nintendo, and it boosted their profit and fortunes. Fun fact, did you know that Donkey Kong was the first game to allow the character to jump? Before Donkey Kong, you could only move left or right in a video game. This jumping action in turn created the platformer genre. The game also had an early iteration of Mario, then known as Jumpman. Back then, no one knew of his soon-to-be success. In 1982, Donkey Kong was followed up with a sequel, Donkey Kong Jr., in which Jumpman was renamed Mario. Mario would soon become the company mascot and a famous icon for all. Also in 1982, Gunpei created the idea of a handheld video game, which became the Game & Watch, one of Nintendo's first worldwide successes in video game consoles, and my favorite character to play in Super Smash Bros. The Game & Watch was the first to use the cross D-pad design. In 1983, Nintendo released the Family Computer, or Famicom as they called it, in Japan, and it was a massive success. Around this time, the game Mario Bros. Was put in arcades, and Mario was given a little brother named Luigi. That same year, the video game crash occurred, in which a huge recession occurred in the video game industry. The video game industry looked bleak, with consoles such as Coleco and Intellivision being stopped completely, and video game sales dropping rapidly. Things didn't look so good, but then Nintendo swooped in with the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was released in America, and it might have single-handedly saved the video game industry entirely. The same year, Miyamoto made a sequel to Mario Bros. Called Super Mario Bros., which would go on to become one of the best-selling games in video game history. 1988, Gunpei and his team created the Game Boy, which merged the NES and the Game & Watch together. In America on 31st of July, 1989, the Game Boy was launched, also including the Russian game Tetris on it. It was a massive success. In 1989, Nintendo announced plans for a Super Famicom, which was released in 1990, boasting better graphics, sound, and game speed. It was known as the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or the SNES. In 1994, it was announced that there would be a predecessor to the SNES known as Project Reality. which would later be renamed the Ultra 64. In 1995, Nintendo announced that they had sold 1 billion game cartridges worldwide, mainly from the Mario franchise. They dubbed that year the Year of the Cartridge. Not everything was sunshine and roses, though. Gunpei Yokoi designed the Virtual Boy, an early version of VR. To put it short, it was an absolute disaster. The poor quality and the headaches the players received caused very poor sales, and before you knew it, the Virtual Boy was gone. Because of this failure, Yokoi resigned from Nintendo and would die 2 years later in a car crash. In 1996, Ultra 64 released, now renamed the Nintendo 64 or the N64. The N64 featured 64-bit graphics, hence the name. In 1998, the Game Boy Color was released, which was an upgraded Game Boy with, color. The following year, Nintendo released Super Smash Bros. For the N64 by one Masahiro Sakurai, who is also the creator of Kirby. Hey, pick up your flip phone, because it's the 2000s, Colin. And guess what? New console called the Gamecube. It failed. Oh, and remember Hiroshi Yamauchi, the grandson of the founder? Well, he retired in 2002, which meant that for once the company was not run by a Yamauchi. In 2003, the Game Boy Advance was introduced, which would later pave the way for the Nintendo DS and 3DS. Before Yamauchi retired, he said these words, quote, "The DS represents a critical moment for Nintendo's success over the next 2 years. If it succeeds, we rise to the heavens. If it fails, we sink into hell." Thankfully, the DS was a success, thanks to games such as Nintendogs and Mario Kart DS. In 2006, Nintendo released a new home console, known simply as the Wii. While Sony and Microsoft were making more sophisticated and complicated consoles, Nintendo wanted to keep it simple. All they needed was a few nunchucks and some motion control. Want to play tennis, golf, or bowling without leaving your home? Then Wii Sports has got you covered. Want to build your own avatar and have something to call your very own? Why don't you make a Mii? The Wii spawned fitness and casual games, such as Wii Sports, which I really sucked at. Anyways, fast forward to 2011 and the Nintendo 3DS is released, which was an upgraded DS with a 3D stereoscopic display. A year later, the Wii U was released. Unfortunately, like many of its earlier products, the Wii U didn't do so well with sales. Come 2015, and Nintendo released a trailer for the Nintendo NX, the next home console, as they called it. It was later revealed that the NX was to be a home and portable console, which was unheard of at the time. Then in 2016, Nintendo told everyone the NX would be released March 2017. Also in 2016, the app Pokemon Go was released, which doubled Nintendo's shares dramatically. In October of that year, it was revealed that the NX had been renamed to the Nintendo Switch. The Switch encouraged creative concepts like gaming without limits. On March 3, 2017, the Nintendo Switch was released. The whole world went crazy. It was truly revolutionary. Most recently, on September 25th, 2019, Mario Kart Tour came out, which brings us to now. Fusajiro Yamauchi could have never foreseen what his new ventures would turn into. And frankly, I don't think the world would have either. Hey guys, if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to reach 100 subs by the end of the year, so please help me reach that goal. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.